Your cap now.
Your cap now.
It's SF. So we'll be starting in a minute. Cool. That is ready. That is done. So we've captured everywhere we need to. And so I say, welcome. Welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O. Welcome to another evening. And today, we're going to be continuing on water part 2. Last week, we talked about water and we found out that there's so much to know about water. It's not by accident that Yorubas say, and I'll just interpret what it says, that water has no enemy. It has no enemy. We use it for everything, but is the water we're drinking now, is the water we're exposed to ideal for us? And if it's not, what do we need to do so that we can attain excellent health? We do know that a lot is going on health-wise now. The major one, cancer in different areas. And we know that what we eat, what we drink has a lot to do with that. So that's why this topic is very important. Tonight, we're going to have another robust conversation. I'm 100% sure of that. And so I want to remind us that we are not establishing physician-patient relationship on this forum, on this platform. We are here to give information as we know it as of today that is correct, that is cogent, that is relevant to us now, so we can prevent disease entities and also to learn how to just be strong health-wise. So without much ado, I'm going to yield to Dr. Marsha Gillum to take over and get into water part 2. Welcome, Dr. Gillum.
Oh, welcome everyone. I'm happy to be here again this week and to welcome everyone from near and far, California, all the way to Nigeria.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. We have people from Nigeria on already. Yes.
Okay. So I just want to continue from where we not really left off, but kind of a review a little bit for those who were not here last week. We just did an introduction to water and the different types of water, which water is, we basically came out down to bottled water is not necessarily good for you because of the purified water is not regulated. So you really don't know what you're getting when you take a sip out of that bottle if it says purified water, because the government does not regulate purified water. So that was one that we're just automatically going to kick to the curb. And when I did my little experiment at home with some bottled waters and some purified, not purified, but spring water, I didn't even test the purified water because I already knew that I didn't know what was going to come out of the bottle. So we can automatically, if we go buy water, you know, because sometimes we may not have a purifier. We may not have a purifier on our refrigerators. And you're in a position where you may need to buy some water. And so I gathered up like 6 different types of water, water from my own sink that I purify from my own sink. And then I add called Willard water. And I'm going to add put a link in the chat with my article about what Willard water is. It's a treatment that restructures the water. So your water, if it's not alkaline, if it's more acidic, it makes it more alkaline. And I don't use a lot of it. I mean, I use it every time I purify my water, but I don't use the amount that's going to make my water like 10 pH, because we don't need water that's that high in pH. So I put a link in the and I'll put a link on the article that's going to go into the chat at the end. And there were also questions last week about kombucha and Soleil water. Some on the same article, I put a link to Soleil water and kombucha so that you can go and do your own investigation. We talked about kombucha because it is very good for our digestive system. Sometimes our digestive system does not have enough bacteria, the good bacteria. And when that becomes out of balance, then we get digestive issues, GERD and IBS and all kinds of stuff because we don't have the right amount of good bacteria in our gut. So kombucha is one of the remedies that will help with that. So I put I put a link to a website called Kombucha Camp. It used to be called Kombucha Mama, Dr. O, but they changed the title. So it's called Kombucha Camp. And it teaches you anything you want to know and stuff you may not want to know about kombucha. A lot of information. A lot of information. That's going to be added to the article that I'm going to put in the chat also. But last week we just started out by talking about the different types of water: purified, reverse osmosis, and spring water are the most prevalent ones. And before we got on, we were talking about coconut water. So we're going to talk a little bit about coconut water. And we're also going to talk about carbonated water. Is that really good for you? And we'll get started. So what I did was I had the pastor's son-in-law was carrying water back and forth to our services, to our congregation. And I just happened to read the label and found out that it had potassium hydroxide, which is a strong base, which is what they use to clean drains. And it's very caustic. So I asked him, well, why? I guess he didn't really understand. He didn't read the label and understand what it was that was in his water. What made his water alkaline? Because that's the big thing now is alkaline water and Kangen water and all these different things to make the water alkaline. Whereas our stomach pH is 2 pH, not 10, not 9, but 2. So why would we drink, especially a lot of people drink during their meals, and we talked about that a lot last week about not drinking with your meals. Why would you drink alkaline water, which is going to change the pH of your stomach acid? And that can cause indigestion because when we eat proteins, we need the acid in our stomach to digest the proteins and to break down proteins. So why would we need to alkalize our stomach acid? So now between meals, that's a different story, but with meals or it's recommended that we eat, and we talked about this a little bit last week, before your meal, at least 30 minutes before your meal, and then wait, depending on what you ate for dinner or your meal, up to an hour after. So if you're eating a high protein meal, you should wait at least an hour after your meal to drink. So that was some of the things we touched on last week. So this week I want to touch on the results of my little home experiment that I did with the bottled water that I purchased. So I went to the different stores, grocery store, and I went to the dollar store, the 99-cent store, because they carry bottled water also. Because I wanted to see what the spring water, how it fared with to the total dissolved solids, which are the minerals that are in the water, and the pH. So I want to share those results this week. So I'm going to bring up my little article here. And, so the waters that I tested were Flow alkaline spring water. These are all spring waters. And my own water from home. Eternal naturally alkaline spring water. Fiji water, which is very popular, and Waikakia water, which is from Hawaii. So the Flow water is produced in Georgia. eternal naturally alkaline spring water is produced here in California in Mount Shasta. Fiji water is from Hawaii, or no, from Fiji, and then the Wakia water is from Hawaii, local to Hawaii. And we're going to talk about the safest way if you're going to drink water that's not purified or that's not filtered, that you don't filter yourself. What water should you drink then? If it's spring water, which is my preference for that's not purified water, would be spring water. There's one called LIWA spring water, which is local to California. And I did my home filtered water and my home filtered water with Willard's water. So I rated them on alkalinity, or the pH, and the total dissolved solids, because the total dissolved solids, if you have too much total dissolved solids, it can affect your kidneys because your body's not able to break them down. But it's easier to break down than adding minerals to the water. These are minerals that are dissolved into the water when they retrieve them from whatever spring they're retrieved from. So Flow was had 8.4 dissolved solids, total dissolved solids. And like I said, it's locally in from Georgia. And the pH was 8.4 and the total dissolved solids was 148 ppm. So the higher the ppm, that tells you how much minerals are dissolved into the water. Eternal, I don't know if they sell Eternal in your region, but you can see it on, I see it on the shelves. I think there was, yes, Eternal naturally alkaline water. It comes in like a funny shaped bottle, but it's local to California. And the pH is neutral, like 7.7, and the total dissolved solids is low, it's only 25 ppm. The Fiji water was pH 7. So most of these are around neutral, and that's why I prefer the spring waters as to the alkaline waters that they add chemicals to make them more alkaline, because they are pretty much neutral, and water should be neutral. That's what I learned in school anyway, was water should be neutral. So it only had, the Fiji water had a total dissolved solids of 132 ppm. And the Waikiki water from Hawaii had a low TDH or TDS, which was 20, and pH 7.6. Now the LIWA water, this was one I got in a hotel. It's local to California, and this pH is neutral, 7.03, and then total dissolved solids was 23. So if you have any questions, just let me know about what that means. I think the lower the total dissolved solids, I think the better it is on your system and your body not having to break down the minerals, because water should be pretty much neutral, but you still need some minerals, and if it's naturally found in the water, is better and not going to have as much impact on your body. So my home filter was 7.73, and it's I have an under sink water filter system, and the total dissolved solids was 23, was 5. And then my home water filter with Willard's water was 9.6, so it was slightly more alkaline, and the TDS was 29 ppm. And I also rated it on taste. The one that I didn't like the taste of was, I think it was the one from the one from Hawaii. The taste had an off taste, because water does have a taste, and people say they don't like water because they don't like the taste. But the one from Hawaii, I didn't like the taste. Everyone else was either neutral or had a really good taste. The one that had the best taste to me was Flow Alkaline Spring Water, FLOW, Alkaline Spring Water. And I preferred that one. I liked that one for more than just the fact that it had a good taste, and it had a little slightly alkaline pH, but it was in aseptic cartons as opposed to plastic. So I kind of like that idea. And that means it also was sheltered from light. So light couldn't get in to affect the water. So even though it came from Georgia, I kind of like the idea that it was in aseptic cartons, kind of like our milk cartons or our, if you buy the soy milk or almond milk in an aseptic carton, it's kind of like that kind of carton. But everything else was in plastic containers. And so we talked about what is the problem with plastic containers. When they make plastics, and I worked for Dow for a short period of time, and that was one of the things I did for Dow, was blood bags. So when you make plastic, there's a chemical in the plastic that's the same thing that's in super glue, which is isocyanate. And when we made plastic, we had to wear a gas mask because we didn't want to be exposed to that chemical. So why would you want that in your water, to be able to seep into your water? Because when the water is exposed to the sun in the plastic bottle, as well as when you put it in the freezer, those chemicals leach into your water. So it's better if you're going to drink bottled water to try to get glass bottles. And if it's not local, to try to find one that is local to your region, so that if it is traveling from somewhere, it's traveling from somewhere close to where you live and not traveling a long ways in the sun. We don't know how long and how hot it is in the containers that they ship it in. So it's better to try to find a local spring or a local area, someplace close to where you live, if you're going to drink bottled water. Because there are some times when we have to buy water. We're not in a place where we have our purifiers and we have our refrigerators that filter the water for us. So any questions so far or comments?
We're going to leave the questions till the end. Anyone who has questions, raise their hands and we call them when you're done talking, or they put it in the chat box.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on, should we touch on sodas first, or should we touch on carbonated water? So unless it's naturally, I'm going to touch on carbonated water first. Unless it's naturally carbonated, the companies that produce them add carbon dioxide to the water, and they pump carbon dioxide through still water, which makes it carbonated. So the problem with that is when we breathe in oxygen. When we breathe out carbon dioxide. So if they're pumping carbon dioxide into our water, we're drinking what we normally would breathe out as waste gas. We're drinking it. So we're reintroducing that waste gas into our system. So that's why I don't really, unless it's, like I said, naturally carbonated, I'm not really a proponent of carbonated water. It's refreshing. It tastes good, especially if you add a little lemon to it. But I'm not really a proponent because of how it's produced. So you make a decision not to, if that's something you want to continue to drink or not. But I'm just giving you the information that I have about carbonated water. And now you can buy these machines that will carbonate the water for you. And if the gas is carbon dioxide, it comes in a little tube, and you pump the gas into the water. So I'm not really a fan. So before we go into questions and answers, I just want to touch for a minute on sodas. First, the sodas that are sweetened with white sugar or cane sugar, and they're also carbonated. So they pump carbon dioxide into the sodas, the water that they make the soda with. then they add the flavoring and they add the sugar. And usually one can of soda has at least 10 teaspoons of sugar. So they're very high in sugar. So if you're struggling with high blood sugar, it's better to leave the sodas alone and to stick to water with your lemon and or lime. Also, if you look at the soda, the contents on the soda, a lot of them, they add phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid will dissolve your stomach. The stomach lining is very detrimental to your stomach lining. That's why you can take a soda, a Coke, or a Pepsi and use it to clean your battery terminals. So if you have corrosion on your battery terminals, just take a Coke or Pepsi and pour it over the battery terminals and take a toothbrush and it will clean all the corrosion off your battery terminals. So if it does that to corrosion on the battery terminals, just think about what it may be doing to your system. So we kind of mentioned earlier before we started about diet soda as opposed to soda with sugar. Diet soda is worse than going ahead and drinking a little bit of soda with sugar. And now you can buy the sodas that are sweetened with stevia and some other alternatives that are more natural than saccharin or some of the other sweeteners. Because when you take artificial sweeteners, you're fooling your body into thinking, because sugar, your body needs sugar in order to create energy. So when you tell it it's going to get something that's going to give you energy and you don't, by drinking something that's artificially sweetened, it says, well, I'm not going to let you keep fooling me. I'm going to store fat. So the next time that you try to feed me something artificially sweetened, I'm going to have my fat store to go to back as backup for this artificial sweetener. So that's why it's worse than going ahead and having a little sugar and just get it over with. And then the next day, drink a lot of water to dilute the sugar and to restore your blood sugar to the normal range. So that's what I wanted to add about carbonated water and sodas. So any comments or questions? I'm ready.
Thank you so much. I wanted to comment on, or maybe even as a question, on the conversation, something from last week, because remember last week I'm like, so what are we going to be drinking? Where should we get the water we drink from? And the conclusion was, if you have a refrigerator that has a filter, it actually filters all the metals and all of those things that you don't need in them, and that works fine. Or you can get, those over-the-counter that you put on your counter filters to filter your water. Dr. Jagwe showed us the one that he actually has that he uses to travel. So we got that solved. But I wanted to bring up tonight the bottled water in plastic.
Yeah.
Bottled waters are in plastic. And I see them all the time, transported on trucks.
Right.
In the heat.
Yes.
And it says these plastics have BPA. That's what the product is, right? The product that can possibly leach.
Oh,
Yeah, two things can leach into the water.
Yeah.
We need you to come on the screen if you're going to speak, sir. Your camera is off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, there are two things.
Two chemicals. One is the PET, PET, which is propylene terephthalate. That one is the most dangerous. But most bottles now are claiming to be BPA free.
Right.
So if you see BPA is bisphenol A. Bisphenol A, most bottle makers now are removing that from their production So they think that's very safe, but the PET is still there because there's no way they make any plastic bottle without the PET.
Hmm.
And the isocyanates, because like I said, when I was working for Dow and we were making blood bags, and so it's even in blood bags, they use isocyanate in the production of blood bags. So that means when you put blood in it, it's not going to, it possibly could leach out into the blood or the serum that they put in the blood bag.
So when these products, we know that they can leach into water and they transported in these trucks, there's heat, when there's sun, I mean, they don't cover them. I see them all the time. So by the time we get them, then they may have some of these products already leached into them. Before the conversation last week, I knew that we've been taught that if you drink water, you open a bottle of water and you drink some of it and you put it you should not leave it in the car.
Right.
Because of the heat. But then I always wondered that bottled water is never filled to the top. So what's the difference if, you've drank some of it or not? Thank you for shedding light into that last week. There's no difference. Also, like some people will heat food up in plastic, put hot food into plastic at home, same difference. Or, put hot food in plastic and put it in the refrigerator, same difference. These things still leak into them. So we need to be careful because seriously, this increase in cancer risk, we don't know where they're coming from except for food, except for what we put in our mouths. So it's important that we're careful. It doesn't hurt to, invest in a small water filter to put on the kitchen counter if one does not have the filter in the refrigerator. Or what do you guys say? What do you think?
Well, something is better than nothing. If all you can afford is like one of the countertop filters, like the Brita, it filters out quite a bit of the metals, heavy metals, and the other stuff in there that you don't want because it's a charcoal filter. So charcoal filter is going to filter out a lot of what we don't need as part of our drinking water. So if that's what if you want to start somewhere with so you don't have to buy bottled water, because now they even have the filter. You can buy the stainless steel cup that has the filter that you put inside the cup, and it filters it as you drink the water. But you need to start with, okay, I'm going to do something for my health. And I decided to go ahead and get an under counter filter because I figured that was an investment toward my health. So, and I have my portable ones that I put in my suitcase when I travel. So, because you don't really know, a lot of places that you go, they're even less regulated as far as what's in the water. So I always have my portable ones that I carry with me. And I don't want to go into this can of worms, but I just want to mention that even heating food in the microwave, you probably noticed I never used the microwave when we travel.
I thought of that, I think it was yesterday that you never heated food in the microwave.
No,
you never.
I have one, but my husband uses it. And I try to tell him, but he's not listening. I have a lot of melted plasticware from him.
What's going on? What's going on? Is somebody look at Dr. Gabriel? What's going on there?
You okay?
Okay. Sorry about that.
You okay?
Sorry about that. I'll reach out to him to see what's going on. So, Madam VP, welcome, ma'am. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
Is he okay? He looks like he's
No, never mind. I'll take care of it.
okay.
Dr. O, how are you? You look fantastic in purple.
Thank
as
you.
always.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Gilliam, thank you once again. Last week, after we had the session, and I was thinking in my head, I said, you're going to all become paranoia because you can't do this, you can't pee, you can't drink, you can't say, what else are we going to do? But Dr. O said something that is a light bulb moment just a few minutes ago. She mentioned the C word. This is a battle that nobody knows where it's coming from.
Right.
Cancer. And it might very well be coming from this plastic, all of those things. I don't even understand the importance of FDA. If they are approving poison, they're approving plastic water bottle, they're approving food to be served in plastic. I don't even know what they are doing then that is beneficial to us. But
they're not.
For the benefit of all of us, I think we need to heed this suggestion. We got to figure out how we're going to filter our water. I mean, that's probably the least of what we do. Filter our water and stop using plastic. Man, it's going to take a long time, Dr. Gilliam. It's going to take a long time.
Yes. Well, they have this designation for food that they're not sure if it's safe or not. It's called GRAS. And we talked about it when we did the health class. Generally recognized as safe. So they can put that designation on anything that they say is generally recognized as safe. That doesn't mean it is safe, but they've designated it as possibly safe. So that's saying that they think it could have potential harmful effects or it may not. But if you see something that they say is GRAS, GRAS, I would steer away from it. So we talked about that a lot when we talked about dyes and sweeteners and the stuff they use to make sugar and filter the sugar. So, it's like GRAS is not something that is really safe, but it's generally recognized by the FDA as safe.
Can I ask another question? Please. We grew up with sugarcane sugar. Dr. O, the ones in cubes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I mean, if you're going to eat sugar, is that okay instead of all this sweetness?
Oh,
No,
you mean like
that
raw
is sugar.
sugar?
Yeah, it's sugar. It's not okay.
Oh.
It's sugar.
Okay.
And that is solid real sugar. Yes.
May I say something about that?
Yes, please.
The sugar in the raw is your best choice if you're going to have any sugar cane. So sugar in the raw is least processed, and it's not as sweet as the bleached, processed white cubes or white granulated sugars that are available in the supermarket. So if you can find sugar in the raw, that would be very good to use, at least, of course, in moderation.
Yeah, it's better to use the raw sugar if you're going to use sugar. I've kind of I use the raw sugar more for making kombucha. I don't really use it on a daily basis. What I use have started using more on a daily basis is coconut nectar sugar. And I use honey, raw honey, unfiltered honey. And because I have a sweet tooth, and that's my battle is the sweet tooth. So I just use the coconut nectar sugar, and I'll, like when I make my raw coffee in the morning, my cold brew coffee, I'll add some of the coconut nectar, and I save the raw sugar for making kombucha.
And also for baking, it's better for baking. If you must add sugar to your baking or anything that you're trying to put in the oven, Sugar in the raw is way much better.
Yeah, if you have to have sugar at all, that would be the best. But the thing is, it's still sugar. And a lot of people don't know that sugar is a grass. And some people are allergic to grasses, and they're wondering why they keep having allergies every time they eat some white sugar or raw sugar. It's because it's a grass. My friend that lives down in Southern California is allergic to white sugar. She found out recently in the last few years that she can't have sugar because she's allergic to grasses. And she was wondering why she's always having allergic reactions, and she found out it was sugar. She can have beet sugar, but she can't have cane sugar because of the allergy to grass.
Dr. Ajagbe, I'm sure you have that sugar in the raw in your fridge. Can you show us?
Okay, let me show you
I knew
something.
it.
Right?
You have a crystal ball or something, huh?
Oh, she knows it.
So let's see if I can reverse my camera. Can you see it?
Raw sugar.
Yes, we can.
Bottled sugar.
Natural raw cane turbinado sugar. So this is brown sugar, and it doesn't have the kind of aftertaste that you get from the regular white sugar. So
it's not sugar that they've added, because a lot of times brown sugar is white sugar, but they add some of the molasses back to it. So the lighter the sugar, the less molasses it has in it. So I do.
Yeah, this is the natural raw.
Okay.
So this is not reconstituted raw sugar.
Okay.
So that's why I have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I quickly ask a question, please?
Thank you, Dr. O.
Go ahead.
I came in
Welcome, ma'am.
I came in at the tail end of the conversation on the filtration system.
Yeah.
The question that I do have regarding that is, I mean, all the filtration system are not the same. You know, people tend to forget changing the filters.
Right.
So what happens then if you're not paying attention to the filters, it ends up becoming more toxic. And so you run into that problem. That's about the filtration system. The second thing, Dr. Ajabi was showing the sugar in terms of bleached sugar. Does that apply as well to, say, the processing of flour?
Yes, absolutely. It's the same problem.
Okay. My second question is, you were talking about, the other doctor was talking about replacing sweeteners with honey when you're having a hot beverage. But I think there's a problem with that. You know, it's always suggested to use honey raw in the room temperature, not to add it to something hot. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes. I don't use it in my hot drink necessarily,
Okay.
but I use it in my when I make other drink, like even my kombucha. Sometimes I use the raw honey to make kombucha.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. O, I'm sorry. So what happens now when you use honey to drink hot tea? What is the problem?
I mean, it's toxic. It's almost, you know, it's the same concept of trying to use olive oil and you bring it to a very hot temperature. It creates toxicity.
You should never do that.
Right.
You know, we've said it over and over on this forum. Thank you for bringing that up, that you should not cook with olive oil. Olive oil is an excellent oil for salads.
Right.
Foods that are cold that you will not heat up. But once you heat it up, then it becomes something else. It's toxic. So the oils that are best to cook with that, withstand temperatures are things like grapeseed oil, almond, avocado oil, coconut oil. Those are oils that, are better to cook with.
And you don't
But
want to.
speaking of oil, though, Dr. O,
Sorry?
speaking about oil, what about
Yes.
palm oil? I mean,
Palm
that's
oil,
something we use a lot in our community, and it's so heavy, and I try to stay away from it as well.
so
Well, if you-
palm oil, as is high in saturated fat. But now when you talk to allopaths like me, we are very, very serious or concerned, every word you can use in that forum, about cholesterol. We cancel against it because it's very high. It's high in saturated fat. But when you talk to naturopaths like Dr. Gillum, like Dr. Michael Ye, they will tell you palm oil is a great oil to use.
if
Dr.
you can get it, if you can get it natural, the way the coconut oil you can buy.
No, palm oil. Palm
Yeah.
oil.
Now I'm saying if you can get, because coconut oil is good if it's not refined. If the
Okay.
palm oil is overly refined, then it loses the vitamin A and all those other things that are good things in it. And it should be organic if you can get organic, just like coconut oil. You should get it organic, unrefined, virgin, because there's no such thing as extra virgin coconut oil, even though they said on the label there's no such thing. So that's a misnomer that they put on the label to make you want to buy their coconut oil, but there's no such thing as extra virgin coconut oil. There's only one pressing. So they only press it once.
We cancel against palm oil.
Yeah, too much palm oil is
We cancel against it. I'm glad you agree with that. As in
not too much. Yeah, not I mean, anything in excess is not going to be good for you, especially because people have a tendency to use oils over and over again. And any oil that you use more than once becomes trans fat. The whole structure of the oil changes and it becomes a trans fat, which is going to clog your arteries and do everything to your heart that you don't want it to do. So
fast food places, no.
Because when I grew up, we kept the Crisco can on the stove, and we would use it to fry chicken in, and then we pour the oil back in the Crisco can, and then the next time we fried fish or chicken, we use the same fat over and over again, not knowing that we are setting up a stage for us to have heart attacks and clogged arteries and all that stuff. But we become older and wiser, and we don't reuse the oil, and that makes us use less, because coconut oil and all those oils are expensive. So we're not going to use a lot of it when we cook. We're not going to deep fry foods in coconut oil.
Thank you.
Now that adds something to the Southern hospitality.
Right.
The Southern hospitality was supposed to be like a Sunday fried chicken stuff.
Right.
And like Dr. Gillum just said, a whole lot of problems go with that because many of the heart conditions that are supposed to be found in the South is probably just directly related to the way the foods were made, for centuries or for, time immemorial. So.
Thank you so much for those comments. I'm going into the chat box. Sister Rachel said, Ekale, good evening to all of us. Said she's glad to be joining in yet another great Medical Monday. Water is a godly gift to humankind, but how we take it for granted, and that is very true. I wanted to specifically read that so that we should all take home that we need to pay attention to the water we drink. Now, going back to sugars, Madam VP, organic dates is true. Somebody put here are a great sugar substitute also. When we did the health matters on Medical Mondays with Dr. O. I think it was last year, sometime when we did that program, and we got the gift of doing the plant-based diet for 3 months. We learned a lot about organic dates, that you just take the dates, you boil them down, and you take them out, and you can make your own like jelly or something like that from it. It will become gel-like, and you can just scoop it and put it in your teas and coffees and whatever you want to put them in. It's natural sugar and it's very sweet. So that's another source of sweet. And
now the palm oil, Dr. O, the
yes,
one they sell in Nigeria, they're not processed to Abby.
no,
you
they're
know,
not processed, but they are still very high in saturated fat. And saturated fat is not what we want. I describe cholesterol as, looking at fat that is dumped into into the vessels, like dumping fat in your vessels. At a point, it will clog the vessel, and if it clogs it in the heart, that's a heart attack. In the brain, that's a stroke. In the legs, we have the blue leg syndrome in the legs, that cholesterol clog the legs or the feet, and they become blue and gangrenous, and people lose their legs or their foot because of cholesterol. So again, Dr. Gillum said it all. Moderation. Too much of anything is bad. So if we're going to eat palm oil, we should eat it in moderation, not every day. Maybe, once in a while, use it to cook that vegetable soup because we're so used to it that it's palm oil we use to cook it from home. That would be my admonition. Thank
Hello?
you. Yes.
Hello. Yes, I have a question here. My question is, growing up, we used to substitute using oil like olive oil, castor oil, all these, even coconut oil for the skin. How does that relate? And especially for somebody like me I'm type 2 diabetic, and I understand everything that was said earlier. I think that was part of my contributor to my heart attack and clogged arteries. But what about the skin? Because the older we get, the more the skin dries out, and especially when you got diabetes, it's worse.
Thank you so much for that question. That's an excellent question. I'm going to defer to Dr. Gillum to address that first, but I want to tell you that because of that diabetes, it's very important to pay attention to the skin, because you don't want your skin to be dry and then break down and then you have sores. That's something you don't want at all as a diabetic. So Dr. Gillum, what's your take in the naturopathic world?
Oh yeah, I use castor oil, coconut oil, shea butter, everything on my skin. On my hair also, I use the castor oil and coconut oil and shea butter on my hair, because our hair is naturally dry. And when I talk to European descendant people, they look at me like, you put oil on your hair purposely? Do you leave it on? I said, yes. Black people's hair is dry. So we can put oil on and leave it, and it just absorbs right into our hair. And that's all the more reason, if you have type 2 diabetes, that you have to really monitor the oil intake and the type of fats that you eat. Because what oils do for those who have diabetes, who are not readily accessing the pancreas, the oil shut down the receptor sites in the pancreas or in the cells that would normally the insulin would normally have access to. So that's all the more reason why people that have type 2 diabetes have to monitor the amount and the types of oils that they eat, because for them, they have a hard enough time creating enough insulin for their cells to break down the sugar, let alone if you have fats and the fats are coming in and taking over the receptor sites for the insulin. So people that are diabetic have to, more than anybody else, monitor the types of oils that they use in their diet. And olive oil on, not in, on, not cooked with, avocado oil cooked with moderation, because you still have that condition that your body's not able to break down the oils, and the oils going into the cells that should have insulin to break down the sugars is not being broken down. So if you're diabetic, you have to all the more monitor the types of oils and fats that you use.
Yeah. So thank you that you eat. But Mr. Paul, you can use all of these oils for your skin.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, dry skin care, you want to bathe with the coolest water that you can tolerate. You don't want to bathe with hot water. The coolest water you can tolerate is what you want to bathe with. And as soon as you finish, you come out of your, Mr. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
So as soon as you finish bathing, you towel dry yourself and lotion yourself immediately. If you wait even a few minutes, your skin will dry up. So you want to lotion right away. So it depends on the lotion you want to use now. For, things like Kerry lotion, Lubriderm, Eucerin are excellent. Use the normal to dry skin ones. So when you're going into the naturopathic one, olive oil, castor oil, and all that, there's which one is that comes from Nigeria a lot that people use? Shea butter.
Shea
Shea
butter.
butter, yeah.
Shea butter. That also. See what suits your skin best. Because every skin is different, everybody is different. Whatever suits your skin that keeps your skin moist, that doesn't get dry after you put it on, that's what you stick with. But you want to try right after bathing. Okay?
Dr. O, what is Adiagbon called?
Adiagbon is coconut oil.
Oh.
Yes, it's coconut oil. And that's excellent for your skin. My mother used that growing up. She had this thing, a sponge-like thing that is in the coconut oil, and that's what she used to dab her skin and boom. You oil your skin even faster with that.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I don't know where she got it, and
And
now I can't.
it absorbs into the skin without your skin feeling greasy, or because castor oil is a little thick. So I usually mix it with other oils and then put it on my skin and hair.
So did we answer your question, Mr. Paul? I think it's been.
Yes, that answers my question, but I was just giving an example of what you just said about the dry skin, because I'm suffering from it more and more, and it's definitely related to the diabetes. But the topics of when you take a shower, certain things that I'm doing that I could improve on, like more consistent use of it. I use Lubriderm and Eucerin, but for some reason it just keeps attacking me.
Well, if they don't work for you, Dr. Gillum just made the suggestion of, maybe adding castor oil, that it's heavier. Also shea butter. You can mix these things and see what works best for you. But bathe the coolest water you can, and as soon as you dry up, lotion. That helps. That may change things completely for you, even with what you're using now.
And you may also try skin brushing. Like after you take your shower and dry off, a natural bristle brush designed for skin brushing, and you start at your feet, and you brush, and that also helps your circulation, takes off the dead skin. So you start at your feet and work up towards your heart, up your arms, and your hands up your arms towards your heart, and it helps the circulation, because a lot of people that have diabetes have poor circulation. So the skin brushing would help improve the circulation and take off the dead skin. I skin brush after I bathe and shower too.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, Dr. Gillum, somebody, asked a question here that they don't understand. Did you say that sugar is grass?
Yes, it is a grass.
Okay.
It's in the grass family.
Okay. Then she says, which raw honey do you use, if you recommend any?
Well, the best is honey from your region.
Yeah.
Because the honey that's in your region has all the pollens and the microorganisms and the micro nutrients that the bees collect from the flowers and the trees and the plants in your region. So if you have allergies, that's the best is to take a teaspoon of honey from your area. And the reason you don't heat it is because all those things and the natural peroxides that are in honey and all that is killed when you heat it up. So people think, oh, I made cake and I made it with honey. Well, you just killed the honey. So, so if a honey says, I found out, I was in the store one day and there was this man in there with me. I was looking for honey at the grocery outlet. And I found out that honey in the United States do not buy organic. Because normally the organic honey that the FDA does not approve, or USDA does not approve of organic, because bees are regional and they're going to collect honey from the region where they are. So they may go to Farmer Joe's next door and his trees aren't organic. So if you see organic on it, it's usually from another country. So read the back of the label and it'll tell you the country of origin, because bees don't stay in one area. They may go to Farmer Joe's, they may go to Farmer Frank down the road, collect nectar, and they bring it back to the hive. So if it says organic, it's probably not from the United States, or maybe something else.
Yes, Madam VP, you can ask your question. And if you raise your hand, you get to ask your question faster than if you put it in the chat box. So go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, so this eating honey from your region is a challenge, because you go to Whole Foods, everything you find there is probably not made in California, not made in my neighborhood.
But they have Costco, surprisingly, carry regional honey.
Really?
Yes. So they have honey that's from the Southwest. They have some honey that's from the Northwest. They have honey and if you look on the back, they tell you exactly where the honey comes from. Or it's even better to find a beekeeper in your region and buy it directly from them, or a store in the region that sells regional honey or local honey. So that's the best.
It helps your allergies.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So there are lots of things in the chat box about olive oil, cooking with olive oil. And my sister in London, we have several people from London on the platform, actually. My sister in London said that she went to a cooking class where they were told to cook with olive oil and not with vegetable oil. We'll repeat, do not cook with olive oil. When you heat up olive oil, you denature it and it becomes toxic. You can use it on your salads, on cold foods, but not cook with it. And yes, no reusing of oil. Once you've fried with oil or cooked with oil, you need to dump it if it's left over. You should not reuse it. That is true. And for dates, there's a question here. My sister wrote also that dates are fantastic in Zobo drink as a natural sweetener. I have to share with you really quickly a new research that came out of a University of Nigeria, Nsukka Medical Division. And they found that for people who are at increased risk for diabetes, remember we've talked about that on this platform, that I think is a staggering, like almost 40 million people are postulated would develop diabetes by the year 2040 in the United States. So most of them are presently hyperglycemic, what people call pre-diabetic. They have A1C, that's the marker that shows what the sugar has been running in the last 3 months, that is high, tending towards diabetes already. And this research shows that if you drink Zobo after eating, it brings down your blood sugar, it reverses that situation that you don't get diabetes. And it also helps diabetic patients. Mr. Paul, I think this would help you, but there's a caveat. Is Zobo cooked in water without all those pineapples and what else do you put in it, Dr. Marsha?
I put
Lemon.
ginger, turmeric, cloves,
Spices, basically.
So all of
the little long pepper.
All of those things they said don't put in it. They found that those actually are not helpful. Just cook your Zobo in water and drink it after food. Don't add dates, like my sister wrote in the platform.
Yeah, I don't
Natural sweetener. Don't sweeten it, and it would reverse diabetes or, prevent you from getting diabetes. So I have a question here. What can you say about hydrogen water, also known as hydrogenated molecule water?
Well, now everyone has jumped on that bandwagon too, and you can look on eBay and find the machines that make hydrogen water. I've done some study on the hydrogen water, but I don't have really a comment about it right now. I'm kind of understanding what it's for, to add hydrogen to your system, but I don't really want to, haven't really studied it enough to really give an opinion on it yet. But
I have
I know
a question.
about it. Okay.
What is Zobo? What is Zobo?
Oh, sometimes called Sobolo. It's hibiscus flowers tea. It's made with hibiscus flowers.
Is it made with the hibiscus flower? Because there is a plant by the name of, in the Mexican culture, they call it Jamaica.
Yeah, it's the same.
Rosa de Jamaica.
Yeah.
Rosa de Jamaica.
Yes.
And then I am Jamaican, and we call it sorrel.
Sorrel, yep, it's the same thing.
So is it supposed to be sweetened or unsweetened?
Unsweetened.
It's supposed to be unsweetened. Just boil it in water and drink it after food, after meals, for your sugar. But it should not be sweetened with anything. Don't add anything. No spices.
Don't put ginger.
Don't put ginger. The research shows that the addition of anything else actually takes away from the usefulness of Zobo. Your blood sugar. It's a new research that just came out. Very exciting.
I've been hearing a lot about it, and it's been called different names, but I'm not familiar with all the names. But when I look at the pictures, I recognize. So we have a lot of it here in California because it's mostly grown in Mexico, and they are huge consumers of it. But they sweeten it, and in my culture, we add ginger, and we add cloves.
That's what I do.
And a little nutmeg. And so I guess it's best to be had by itself, unsweetened.
So in between, you can have yours with the clove, but after meals, just plain.
After meals, just plain. Yes.
So I will comment about how you prepare it. I've seen a lot of different ways that it's prepared, but because hibiscus is a flower, I was taught when I'm making herbal preparations that flowers, leaves, and the soft herbs, like leafy herbs, should not be boiled because that takes away the nutritional value of them.
Barks should not be boiled. It's not like a tea.
It's not the flower that we boil, though. We don't. Is this correct? Is the stem because it's woody?
Are you talking about Zobo?
Zobo,
yes.
No, it's the petal that is dry.
The flower petals.
They dry the petals. Yeah, they dry the petals and then they crumble them into what you see as dark red or dark purple. Particles that you can put in a pot of water or in a kettle and brew as tea.
They're hard though.
Oh, well,
Yes,
some of
they
them
are
have
hard.
some of the stems that extends it so that you're paying more money
Yeah,
for
you're
less
talking
flowers.
about you're talking about part of the calyx, but the real thing that looks reddish or purplish when you brew it is the petal, not
Right.
the stem.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I want to move on because I have a lot of questions here and I want us to be able to get through it. So,
Doctor, please ask them about the Zobo thing, because if it's important. You said don't boil it, then how do we get the water
no,
juice
you
out?
got to boil it. She boils it too every morning in Ghana.
No, I
She
steep
boils
it.
it for us.
So
Okay.
I just
you
steep it.
just pour hot water over
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
let it
doctor.
steep overnight.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
Did you
steep it.
say you put hot water over it and leave it
Yeah,
overnight?
I just bring it to a boil without boiling it, and then I turn it off and let it steep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You bring it to a boil and
But
then
you don't boil it. You just,
don't
as soon
let
as
it
it starts to
continue.
steam, I turn it off and let it steep.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Madam VP, thank you for drawing us back to that so we can get that. I didn't know that. I've been boiling my Zobo. You spoilt me. You made it
I
for
know,
me.
I used to make it every morning.
I didn't know how to make it.
I'm gonna start doing that. We'll get it.
In when we're talking about skin, Sister Rochelle also talked about, making a concoction with butter, honey, and turmeric for skin and hair. I'm not familiar with that, but turmeric is an anti-inflammatory agent. I don't know how well that will work for dry skin. So, do you have a comment on that, Dr. Gillum?
Well, when I buy the turmeric to use in my skin preparations, it's the oil. It's the
Is the oil, exactly.
essential oil. I just put a few drops of it in my skin preparation.
Okay. So I'm being told here that there's a movement of cold water shower. So Dr. Gillum taught us that, in 2021, because you taught us when we're showering with the whatever temperature water before we get out to turn down the temperature, the heat to make it cooler, almost cold, and then get out of the shower after that. Why is that? Can you share why that is to us?
Well, when you shower with hot water, it opens the pores. And when you get ready to get out and you turn on the cold water, it stimulates the circulation. So you want to close the pores and you want to stimulate the circulation by taking a cold shower. And it also triggers the immune system when you take a cold shower. So now you've done three things. You've closed your pores, you've stimulated your blood, and you've triggered your immune system. So that's why we do that. I do it when even if I take a bath, when I get out, I turn on the shower, the cold water shower, or I'll just turn on the spigot and just pour hot cold water, and then I do my skin dry off and then do my skin brushing.
Okay. So, Mr. Imadis, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask regarding that though. So I noticed that what you're doing there is you're stressing the skin, right? I also understand that, particularly in the winter months, when you take a shower and like you just explained, top it off with cold, when it closes your pores, and you can go out in the cold weather without catching a cold, as opposed to your pores being open. Is that correct?
Yes, and it also stimulates the immunity. So you're more needed in the winter months because we don't really have a cold winter here in California. But I still do my cold shower even in the winter months when it's cold outside. It's harder.
So
I was told,
Mr. Paul, you're gonna have to raise your hand before you. So we are in cold areas, and you advocate the same thing, that
Yes.
bathe in hot water and then, turn it down
Yes.
and do the cold one real quick and get out.
Yes.
Okay. So, Paul, what's your question?
My question is, I was told a little different about the temperature of the water, that you can put your body into shock when you go from hot to cold, or somewhat of a variance.
And that's the whole purpose, is you want to stimulate your immunity. So when you go from hot and you do the cold shower, that triggers your immune system. So it's not really shock. It's like you're stimulating your immune system, because when you take a hot shower, you're basically sweating and your pores are open. So you want to close your pores and you want to get that stimulation of the bloodstream. It's because you have the type 2 diabetes, or the type 2 diabetes is trying to get you. You want to especially take a nice cold shower after a hot shower to get your circulation going.
Thank you. So, question. Oh, Sister Ninaye, kindly unmute. You can unmute to ask.
Yeah. I say, the way I do my Zobo, please tell me if this is okay. I put it in the filter of the coffee maker, and that's how I get it brewed. Is that good enough?
I haven't tried that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I usually make a gallon at a time. I usually make a gallon at a time because I've been giving it to my husband, because he also has a high blood sugar. So I've been giving it to him since I found out about it a few years ago. So yeah, but I usually make a gallon at a time, and I stick it in the fridge, and then we drink off
To
of it
answer
every
your
morning.
question, though, Dr. Ajagbe said it's easy to do that.
It's perfectly okay. That's actually close to what Dr. Gillum was doing.
Yes.
Because the water that brews the tea is raised to a little above 100 degrees centigrade. So that's perfect for the water that will brew the tea.
Thank you.
Well,
so my sister Daisy says, it relates to oils, what are your thoughts concerning daily cod liver oil consumption? Dr. Gillum?
I was raised on cod liver oil.
Daily cod liver oil consumption. Yeah, I remember they used to give that to us when I was young too.
Growing up, yeah.
Growing up, yeah.
So cod liver oil is high in vitamin A. It's also high in omega-3s. So as long as it's pure, organic, it's not going to be organic because it's from a fish, but pure and not extracted using hexanes. So it depends on how it's extracted. You want to make sure it's a reputable company that you're getting it from, but it is high in vitamin A and the omega-3. So
thank you.
I'm still here after 70 years, taking cod liver oil every day. Growing up,
I didn't want to tell anybody your age because they're not going to believe it. You don't look anywhere close to 70, but you gave it away now. I love it.
I'm happy to be here. Being a number.
So, Mr. Paul, Medical Mondays family is concerned about you, and they keep, bringing up the issue.
When they get those products,
Somebody is disturbing us. Somebody is disturbing us. We don't want that. So, somebody said I don't know if you're familiar with it, the CeraVe, some people call it CeraVe, some people call it CeraVe moisturizing cream, or CeraVe moisturizing cream is the best for your dry skin. But someone is asking if you are within the DC area, but you're in California. You said that before, because they want to offer you half a pound of shea butter free for you to try. Then you can then make arrangements to obtain it directly if it works for you. So
I can pay for the shipping for sure.
Fantastic. So if you put your private chat me with your information, maybe just your phone number, and then we can take it from there. You can private chat me. Okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. See? That's why you never ask these things on Medical Monday. We're very concerned about each other. we get things resolved. Sister Rochelle, you have your hand raised. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hello to all of the homeopathics on the panel. Thank you, Dr. Gilliam and Dr. Agbaje and Dr. O. I have a question. Well, just to clarify, Dr. O, it was my mother who used to make a concoction of butter, homemade butter, a special butter that we've been using for a long time with honey and turmeric. And I wanted to ask you with regard to anything my mother boiled, if it were like greens or red bell pepper, onion, anything, she would have let the water sit. She wouldn't boil it too much, and then she would have us drink it. What are your takes on pepper water or anything like that? That's one. And I think the topic is water. So water has no enemies, as Fella says. So I think that everything ties into water. Thank you. And I'll go offline.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Dr. Gillum.
I think that's a wonderful idea. In the South, they call it pot liquor. Anything that goes, because when you boil the greens, a lot of the nutrients go into the water. So they would, as part of eating greens and having their little side of cornbread, they would sop the cornbread in the pot liquor, and that way they're getting all the nutrients that were boiled or cooked from the greens. They would get the whole thing. So I think it's a good idea to use the liquid as well as the vegetables that was cooked in the liquid.
Fantastic. So, another question. Can you, Dr. Alu is asking this, can you take Zobo or can you drink Zobo before breakfast as the first drink in the morning?
See, that's what I do. That's the first drink I have in the morning, is I make my thermos of Zobo, Sobolo, Sorel, Jamaica, and I take it with me to work, and I start drinking it on my way to work. And I drink it because I do intermittent fasting. So that doesn't break my fast too early before I'm ready to have my first meal. So yeah, I do it first thing in the morning. So the reason it was mentioned about taking it after the meal was because it was to help those whose blood sugar might be spiked by eating the meal. It helps to regulate the blood sugar. So I do take it first thing in the morning. And when we were in Ghana, we took it first thing in the morning before we had breakfast.
Okay, somebody is asking that's still boiling.
What's that?
Well, Abby, that's my sister in London. It's not boiling. You put the Zobo in water, you heat it up. When it comes to a boil, you don't allow it to continue bubbling. You turn it off and let it simmer, or let it sip. Not simmer, you turn off sorry, wrong choice of word. You turn off the heat and let it sit.
And I put a top on it and let it steep.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody says something about Nordic spa as ice cold tub before warm showering. That's the reverse.
Yeah.
Nordic spa. You go into the ice cold tub and then you go into warm showering.
Well, I've always done it the other way around because there's a purpose to doing it that way. I mean, some people just take a cold plunge and just don't even warm their bodies back up. And my son is one of those polar bear swimmers. So I'm not a polar bear. I like the cold, hot, and then cold because we want to stimulate your blood because you're kind of like reversing the process by taking the cold first and then warming the body back up to because now you're starting to slow down the circulation again. But the purpose of doing the hot first and then the cold is you want to stimulate the circulation.
Thank you. So somebody asked the question that not reusing oil that you have used before, is that including avocado oil? Yes, avocado oil too, all oils. And Sister Daisy asked, what are your thoughts about drinking carbonated water, also known as gas water? I think you talked about that briefly in your talk today, but I think she might have missed it. So
okay, so we'll run over it again. When they make carbonated water, they use carbon dioxide, and that is what we breathe out when we expel gases from our lungs is carbon dioxide. So what they're basically doing is reintroducing carbon dioxide into the water. And when we drink the water, we're introducing carbon dioxide back into our body, which is a waste gas. So if you were in a room and you weren't getting any oxygen, all you're able to breathe is back in your carbon dioxide, eventually you would die because you're breathing back in what you've expelled out.
thank you so much for rehashing that again. Sister Clementina, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Oh, sorry, that was done in error. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. So, question here. Brother Paul is asking if Zobo should be drunk warm or cold.
Drink mine warm. I like warm drinks in the morning, first thing in the morning.
Warm?
I drink mine warm in the morning, first thing in the morning. After I have my water with the lemon and sole water, I wait a little bit and then I have this Sobolo.
So another question here. Oh, I think I got all the questions. Oh, Sister Lola says Zobo makes some people drowsy, then they should not drink it. But we have a question, Dr. Ezugu. Dr. Veronica sent a question about nocturia. Nocturia is urinating at night, like, getting up several times at night to urinate. And there was something that was put out there talking about when people get up at night to pee a lot like that, that they would have, they could have heart attack, they could have stroke, and the list goes on. So I discussed this with Dr. Ezugu, a cardiologist, because it is important. And he was get ready to answer tonight, but I think he was shaken by what happened. I'm not seeing him. Dr. Jagwe, can you help me search for him if he's still on?
I'm here.
You're there. Thank you. So, Dr. Ezugu, thank you so much. That was my uncle that actually practically passed out on Medical Mondays, that you were, you were asking what's wrong. And by God's grace, is fine. It's actually on still now. But that Jubi, please wave your hand to let Dr. Ezugu know that you are fine and you are
awesome. Thank God.
He's waving his hand.
Amen.
Amen. And he's doing well now. We'll deal with that.
No, kudos to his wife, really. His wife really did a great job because he was really resuscitating and really got the water to throw on his face. And really, kudos to her. That is awesome.
Wow. It was awesome. I'm going to have to thank him. Thank Auntie. Auntie, thank you so much.
Yes.
I didn't see. I was focused on, making sure that things are flowing well here. I thought it was in your
Yes.
office, something was happening, was why I reached out. So
Thank
a lot
you
was
for doing
going
that
on.
too. Yes.
A lot was going on Medical Mondays tonight that most people did not realize.
Oh yeah, I was looking at his picture in my from my screen. It's like, is he okay? Do I need to call somebody? 911 somebody?
So I knew he was in the office, so I thought it was something happening in his office. So I reached out to him and he let me know. So I
Right.
to my uncle in Pennsylvania, but we're good. So
Yes, amen.
thank you, Dr. Izugu. The question about
Yes.
nocturia peeing a lot in the night, and the writer on WhatsApp was encouraging people to still drink and said that some older people stop drinking close to bedtime because they get up to urinate a lot, and so but that they should continue drinking. And I'm like, I don't understand this. I need our cardiologist to assist with this. So Dr. Zugu, over to you. I sent the text to him.
Sure. I saw that text. Sorry, guys, I'm driving, but I saw that, and there are a couple of things about nocturia. Nocturia, as you described, it's urinating at night. That's actually a symptom of something going on. There are many things that can cause that. When it comes to even, ranging from even just excess fluid, or even diabetes, or prostate problem, or even, of course, heart failure, which is you have too much fluid in you. And even pregnancy itself can even do the same thing.
Mhm.
So one of the things that happens when in reference to heart itself is that when your bladder is full, actually, your pressure will go up very high. And that's why we also advise people to even empty their bladder before we check their blood pressure. And usually, even when we're doing procedure on patients, we put Foley catheters, which is a tube to drain their bladder while we're doing the procedure. Because if their pressure shoots up because their bladder is full, if their bladder gets full, their pressure will shoot up, and that can run a lot of complications. And we also encourage people, if your bladder is full, just go and empty it. So at night, for instance, when people's bladder are full, some of them, of course, their pressure runs high, and they really run very high pressures through the night as well. So they run into having little stroke or from hypertension or having heart attack from that? Yes, but it's not that the nocturia is the cause of that. No, there's other problem going on that will lead to that, especially the blood pressure situation. And so I would say that the nocturia is, again, a symptom of something that you have to look for the reason for the cause of it, and I define that, as opposed to saying that is all that nocturia itself is causing a stroke or causing heart attack. So that's my take on that particular write-up that somebody put up.
Thank you so much.
May I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Jagbe. Thank you, Dr. Izugu.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, everything Dr. Izugu said is right on the money. One area that people overlook is the area of sleep apnea, particularly
Exactly.
undiagnosed sleep apnea.
Yes.
When
You are
somebody
up now, eh?
That is true. That is very, very true.
I know.
is one of the commonest signs that is missed by many people, because they say, oh yeah, I just wake up to go and pee. The physiology of that is simple. When you stop breathing and your chest is rising, but the air is not going through for 10 seconds, your brain will arouse you. But most of the time, you are not going to be awake properly. But for those people who can easily move their jaw forward, the airway opens and they can breathe again. But for a lot of people, because they don't do that, the brain still tries every which way to wake them up. And the first thing that will happen is that they will feel the sensation that their bladder is full. And many times they get to the toilet and there's only a few drops that will come out. They don't have to pee a lot. And that's why when they go back to sleep, the tongue relaxes again, the airway is blocked, before they know it, the brain wakes them up again that your bladder is full. Get up, go and pee. All in the name of trying to make sure that they constantly breathe. That's all. Until that sleep apnea is diagnosed and managed, that is going to continue. And I don't think just waking up to go and use the bathroom will cause somebody to have stroke. The sleep apnea itself will cause the blood pressure to go up, just like Dr. Izugu was saying. Anything that will cause blood pressure to go up can cause heart attack, stroke, and all of that. So sleep apnea is something that people should think about. If somebody is having nocturia, they need to at least try to have a sleep test done. If they have a sleep test done and they say that, oh, they don't have any sleep apnea and all of that, then they check anything else. But that is one area that most people miss, because they think because they snore because it's a hereditary thing or family thing or whatever. But that's not really necessarily true. Okay. So anyone who has sleep apnea that's not diagnosed should at least try to do a sleep test if they have nocturia.
Okay, so
the same thing applies to children. When many children pee at night, they pee in their bedwetting. Is the same thing. As many studies have showed that many of these children that have enuresis or peeing at night, bedwetting, they are actually suffering from sleep apnea. And once they are managed properly, bedwetting goes away.
Okay. So, thank you. Bottom line, Dr. Veronica, thank you so much for sharing that information with us. Nocturia, which is urination or frequent urination at night, excessive urination at night, is not really the cause of heart attack, stroke, and all of that. The underlying reason for that frequent urination needs to be explored and fixed. And that's the take home that we need to have. So that write-up is not very accurate. Is that helpful, Dr. B?
Thank you, Dr. O. I really appreciate you acting on it, because I was concerned and I said, I'm running to Dr. O.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Because
that's misinformation, though. They're spreading that news on WhatsApp. So I think I would put a little response on what you said, run it by you, and then also start putting it on those platforms where they are posting them.
Yeah, because they'll start scaring people for no reason. And it's not even just scaring them. They will not be helping them. These people will not be looking for the underlying reason for their frequent urination that could save their lives. They will just be scared that they peeing a lot and then they'll be drinking more water and then be peeing more.
Right.
So thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Only God knows whose life you're going to save or how many you're going to save.
Dr. O, thank you. Dr. O Monday is saving lives every day. So I would make sure I run it by you, because I want to not misinform. So before I post it, because this is serious, was scary to read.
Yes. Yes. I read it and I'm like, I'd send it to Dr. Izugu. I'm like, this is terrible. What do you think? Thank you.
You rock. Thanks a million. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Mr. Lawal, you had your hand raised, sir. Kindly unmute. Mr. Lawal. Mr. Yomi Lawal, kindly unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for recognizing me.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not sure if that issue was actually addressed properly. I think I saw the article. What was being said was that in spite of whatever you are doing, don't stop drinking water. So if you have that problem, still drink water. That way, you don't run into the problem of your, the nocturia. If you have nocturia, still drink water. Don't because I don't drink water, because if you don't drink water, then you can run into problems. That's what the article is saying. So I don't know if Dr. Ezego wants to address that. Would drinking water, in spite of the fact that you have nocturia, be a problem?
No, he addressed it, that the problem is not nocturia itself. You need to find the cause of the nocturia.
No, but
So
it's the other way around. The other way around. It's not saying it's a cause. It's an indication of something that's correct. But even if you have that problem, should you, because of that, stop drinking water before you go to bed?
no,
That's the question.
you should drink water regardless, but nobody should be drinking water before they go to bed. They're going to get up to go pee.
Okay, so if you get up to go pee, is that a problem?
It is, because it will be disturbing your sleep.
If you are dehydrated, or for whatever reason you get up to drink water, that would not be a problem if you have that problem. Is that, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. The article is not saying that. You do. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You should hydrate all through the day.
Right.
You should not wait till bedtime to now decide to hydrate, to keep yourself hydrated. You're going to run into trouble. Even if you don't have sleep apnea, you don't have any other problems, you're going to run into the trouble of getting up to go to urinate during the night when you should be sleeping. So you shouldn't be drinking too close to your bedtime anyway, regardless of who you are. You should hydrate through the day. You should not be dehydrated. So the article is saying, yes, you should drink. Even if you have nocturia, you should drink. But nocturia is going, and then it's saying that nocturia is going to cause you heart attack, is going to cause you stroke. But you're saying the person should continue drinking.
No, it's not saying it's going to cause you stroke. It's saying without it, that's what's going to cause stroke. Without it, it will cause stroke. If you don't drink the water, in other words, if you're dehydrated, that can be a problem.
Okay,
but the same because of that issue. That is what I read there.
That is wrong also.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to. So I just want to have a clarity on that. That's all.
Okay, that is a wrong statement also. Water is not going to save that person's life. They need to find the cause of the nocturia and fix it. So this is not an issue of water or no water. So you're urinating, getting up to urinate at night is not the issue here. What is the underlying issue that is causing that? So whether you're drinking water is not the issue here at all. And so Dr. Ezeugu addressed it. He read it, I read it. And we feel we need to educate the public on the needful that if you're having increased urination at night or you're having frequent urination at night, which is what nocturia is, make sure things are checked to rule out underlying problems. Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have prostate issue? Do you have sleep apnea? And the list goes on. Is that okay, sir?
Very well. Thank you.
You're
I just want clarity on it. I got you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Paul, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I did. I'm a perfect case study for the water. So I allow myself to become thirsty and trying to make up for not drinking enough water during the day and drinking it at night. I'm also a diagnosed sleep apnea with the machine, but it's very difficult to use it. I may start off using it and I end up taking it off. It's like an entrapment, like somebody's trying to suffocate me. In addition to that, I've got high blood pressure and diabetes. So that's one of the reasons why my diabetes was fully diagnosed, was I was having multiple repetitions of going to the bathroom and was constantly dehydrated. I was in denial because I went from pre to full blown, and it's been quite some time. No, I'm trying to get it under wraps because I've had the heart attack and a triple bypass surgery. So everything that was said regarding there's always an underlying condition is actually a symptom of something is not right. Whether it be I'm dehydrated because I'm not drinking enough throughout the day. I never thought about it that way. I just thought that I was trying to make up. So, and I'm drinking it at night, which doesn't help. But then also when you have sleep apnea, in my case, I've got it pretty bad. I start breathing 52 times in a minute. But sometimes I have a difficult time waking up. And whenever I do wake up, I'm gasping for air. So yes, it's near death. And I understand that this needs to be taken very seriously, especially after today's information of how that affects the body. And one thing that I noticed is that because the organs are supposed to be resting while I'm getting up all the time, I'm disturbing the rest, and then I am extremely tired the next day.
Of course, of course.
So, Brother Paul, I understand 100% about the difficulty in using that machine. A lot of people can't use it. It's not the easiest thing to use, but there are other devices that you can use. So I want to plead that you go back to that sleep lab to connect with the sleep study doctor, that you are not tolerating, maybe it's the mask, and then they can use the nasal prongs instead of having this bulky thing over your face at night. You can try that, that may work. The dentists also have a device, right, Dr. Jagwe? I'll let Dr. Jagwe talk a little bit about that, but there are other options. And I need you to please explore the options. So, because if you have sleep apnea, you have sleep apnea, not if, and you are not properly taking care of it, you are depriving your brain of oxygen all through the night. It's not a good thing. It doesn't help. Every organ we have in our body needs that oxygenation. And that's why Dr. Marsha commented on, she doesn't want to see anything carbonated with CO2. Give me oxygen. That's what the body needs. It's what she talked about when she talked about the water. So Dr. Jagwe, would you talk about the dental device that people with obstructive sleep apnea benefit from? That's another device it can use.
Okay, Mr. Paul, I'm so sorry to hear about your health condition. Of course, we have to issue the disclaimer that we're not establishing a patient-doctor relationship, but we can share information that can be of help and assistance to you. If you haven't had a sleep study done recently, I think you should do that to see whether the thing is getting worse or not. If you do, like you said, if you've been stopping breathing or having intermittent cessation of breathing, like about 52 times per hour, that is a lot. That is severe. And so it is going to affect everything. In fact, that is one of the reasons why the diabetes is not going away. So Dr. O has mentioned something here, that there are alternative devices or approaches to CPAP. The CPAP machine, about 70% of people who have CPAP machine don't use it. If they use it very sparingly. So that sounds like what is going on with you. So there are devices now that there have been devices all along, but most people don't, seem to be steered in that direction. There are devices available now that can actually hold your jaw forward while you are sleeping. It will be in your mouth, but it will hold you, bite into it, and your jaw will not slide backwards. The problem about sleep apnea is that when you sleep, the tongue relaxes. And when the tongue relaxes, it has nowhere else to go, particularly if you don't have enough space for the tongue. The tongue falls to the back and blocks the airway, sometimes partially and sometimes, completely. And in your case, when you say you stop breathing about 52 times per hour, that means there is no air going through each time you stop breathing. So the device that are available now, the devices that are available now can actually move your jaw forward so that your tongue, even though it's relaxing, will not fall all the way to the back to block the airway. So that's something you may want to consider. In most cases, when you go to your primary care physician and they repeat the sleep study, they can refer you to have an intraoral device that will hold your jaw forward while you sleep, and you don't feel, claustrophobic. You don't feel like you're going to choke to death, by having it in your mouth, because it's going to be fitted for you. It's going to be custom made for you. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye.
Thank you so much. Dr. Izugu, kindly chime in here. I've been waiting for you to get home to chime in.
Thank you. Thank you. And really, thank you for bringing up the issue of sleep apnea and also for telling us the complications you really have had with this particular condition. We deal with a lot of patients with sleep apnea. And one of the things that happens with sleep apnea is, of course, many of them are undiagnosed. But then secondly, when they get diagnosed, people have difficulty with either using the treatment or even just say it's mild, it's nothing, it's gonna get away, it's gonna go away. Sleep apnea is a chronic condition. It's like having a baby. They grow. They don't go away. They grow. So you go from mild to moderate to severe and all that. And the more you delay treating it, the more your complication. And the complication can affect any part of your body. Let's even start from the brain, for instance. Those times when you sleep and you don't get oxygen to the brain cells dying and you're beginning to forget things. And on top of that, there's blood pressure that you're running like that. The heart failure is there, high blood pressure, then erectile dysfunction. There's so many complications that just happens gradually with those situations. Of course, lack of exercise, then diabetes, then obesity. It is just so many complications. And CPAP machine, yeah, you may have difficulty with the use of that machine. I tell patients that machine is like, call it your wife or your husband. You must get along with it, because if you don't, you're gonna run into major complications. And it's not a joke at all, because these conditions, if you don't use the machine, the insurance will take it away from you. They will document that you're the one who is not using it, because it has a chip showing that you're using it or not using it. And once they document, it's harder to get you back on it. So really, working with the doctors and working with your, to use those machines will not only reduce the chance of complications, but will also help to keep that sleep apnea from getting worse. And so I advise everybody here, if you have high blood pressure really, and it's difficult to manage, check for sleep apnea. That thing is so undiagnosed. And even when it's diagnosed, people don't want to treat it because the treatment is a little bit difficult, or maybe they have surgery and they say it's gone away. It doesn't go away. You have to retest again, see where you are. I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brother
Thank
Paul,
you as well.
you know what to do, right?
Yes, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get retested and then look into the alternative devices. And I guess I'm going to be married to whatever device it is that,
yes, please.
Because I have had those near-death experiences where I thought I wasn't going to make it because I got so far, and I'm so afraid of going into a deep sleep. So I don't take any type of additives that makes me comatose, because I'm afraid I won't be able to wake myself up. So
Yeah, I
yes.
can imagine. Yeah.
You don't need to Dr. Jagwe.
Well, my wife takes sleeping pill. So
No, Dr. Jagwe empathizes with you. He said he has been there. So let me, and I'm very happy to say that that's positive, because if he has been there and is doing fantastic now, is sleeping well, by the grace of God, you two will get to that point where you're sleeping well and you're not living in anxiety or with anxiety anymore. So please do the needful and let us know how you're doing. Okay? You're going to be fine.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. Thank you, everyone. This has
Amen.
been amazing. Thank God.
You're welcome. So I'm going back to the chat box. Sister Rochelle asked, Dr. Gillum, she said she drinks coconut water first thing in the morning. Is that good health-wise? Is it a good thing to do?
We had mentioned earlier about making sure that your coconut water is not from concentrate, and that is from, because sometimes if it is from a concentrate, it can be higher in sugar than the natural coconut water that you get from the coconut. So make sure it's not from concentrate. And when I make my coffee in the morning, that's after my Sobolo. My Sobolo, then I have my coffee, cold brew. I always add more coconut water because I need the minerals that you're going to get, and the trace minerals that you get from coconut water. It helps refresh your body and provide the minerals and the electrolytes that your body needs. So it's okay just to make sure you're reading the label and that it's not from a concentrate, that it's pure coconut water, and that it has no additives to it.
You know, I've got to tell you this. In Yoruba land, when I was growing up, they used to say that, they still say it, that if you drink coconut water, it will make you dumb.
Oh, really?
Yes, that you will not be a good scholar, you will not perform educationally, basically. And growing up, then now we're finding out that coconut water is actually great for you. I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why they say that.
Probably
So
the colonizers. They wanted to sell those coconuts for other purposes. They want
Thank you.
their profit.
Thank you for sharing this with us. Wealth of knowledge.
Touche, Dr. Gilliam. It is colonizer mentality indeed. Thank you.
And I want to make a comment. Paul had said something about he would get thirsty at night and he would try to make up for not drinking water throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, once you are thirsty, or once your body is telling you that you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So you don't want to get to the point where you become thirsty and feel like you have to drink down a lot of water at one time. You want to keep your body hydrated throughout the day instead of trying to make up for the amount of water you didn't drink throughout the day. So take your sipper or whatever you take your water in, and just sip water throughout the day instead of trying to make up for it because you didn't drink enough water throughout the day. Because like I said, once you feel thirst, your body's already dehydrated. That's like the 911 call to you that you haven't had enough water that day.
Great. Thank you. So my sister, Abby, she's not sleeping in London. She said she wishes that the lady, that Sister Rochelle, with the peanut butter, with the butter, honey, and turmeric, would show her skin. And could she share a recipe for churning homemade butter? So, Sister Rochelle, Abby is throwing you. There you go.
She has
Abby,
beautiful skin.
Sister Rochelle, she has beautiful skin. And let me see how I can pin her.
Unmute yourself.
Okay. Oh my gosh, look at her.
So I'm almost 60 years old, and I thank God for that.
You look beautiful, amazingly beautiful. And I just pinned you so everybody can see that beautiful.
It's all God. It's all God's grace in his grace and mercies. I give it all to God's grace and mercies. That's it. And wonderful people like you sharing and sharing the knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So do you have a recipe for churning the homemade butter that you add the turmeric? Dr. Gillum already said that it's turmeric oil that should be used, and honey.
My mother used to grate it and dry it and put it together like that. I don't know about any oil. I just follow what she did, but she can use, if you don't know how to make homemade butter, you can use ghee.
Ghee. Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I make my own ghee, because then you can make sure it's organic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You've been awesome, beautiful.
I know.
And thank you
really
for showing
pretty.
the skin. Thank you. So actually, you wrote it there that you can use ghee, but it depends on how much you need. That you make a pint bottle, you also use henna and mix all together. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that wealth of information. We appreciate you. So my sister is still writing about Zobo. That's Brother Paul. Okay. So she said about Zobo that Zobo would make you drowsy if flavoring has been used in cooking it. Also, if cooked Zobo has been fermented for a few days and has been cooked with cloves, it would become homemade wine. It will? Dr. Gillum.
Well, I have used Zobo to make kombucha, but when I make it, when I use the clove and the ginger and turmeric, I cook those separately because they're roots. You can boil them. I just steep the hibiscus flowers, and then I mix it after. I don't boil them all together because anything will ferment if you leave it to its own devices over a period of time. So I do the clove and the long pepper and the ginger and turmeric separately, and then I blend them together and strain it. So yeah, I guess it would if you did it the way she was talking about, with the cloves and then let it sit for a few days. It would ferment for real, for sure.
Thank you. So Dr. V, who sent me the article that we talked about the frequent urination at night, posted the first part of it. It says nocturia means that urination at night is a symptom of heart failure, not of the bladder. Thanks for confirming this is not true. It is actually true. It could be somebody, like Dr. Ezugu said, one of the things he mentioned is that it could be heart failure that is causing somebody to pee. It could be high blood pressure. It could be diabetes. It could be sleep apnea. That is it's different things that can cause that. But telling somebody that, continue drinking, the point we want to make, for us as physicians, we just, on this platform, we want us to understand what we can do to better our health. So the point we want to make is that this can be due to different reasons. The reason needs to be tweaked out. So if you pee frequently at night, make sure you go see your doctor so that the underlying cause can be found out and taken care of. And God's 24/7 special delight, you promised, you asked for where Mr. Brother Paul is, and he said it's in California. I've been asking you repeatedly to provide your information so you can send we can see how we can mail the shea butter to him. And you are not responding, but you're asking for the recipe for kombucha. On Medical Mondays, we keep our word. If you really want to share the peanut butter with him that he did not ask for, kindly provide your information to me as you've been private chatting me. For the kombucha, you can get the information on kombuchacamp.com.
Yeah, I just posted the article in the chat.
kombuchacamp.com.
And
You can get that information there. Miss
Yeah,
God's 24/7 special delight. But if you would still like to send the shea butter to Brother Paul, you can share your information. Thank you. We appreciate you. Pastor Paul said, always empowering in all ramification, a blessing. Most grateful for the user-friendly presentation that otherwise would have cost a fortune. Thank you so much. And we thank God for it because he's the one that has the knowledge, he's the one that gives it to us. We are appreciative of you too for being here. Thank you. Dr. Tay said, Dr. O, is there a platform where people can sign up for Medical Mondays weekly notification that he has been forwarding to friends, but sometimes they blame him when he forgets to forward? I am so sorry. Let's work together to see how we can create that platform because I'm sure we can. But the link is the same every Monday. Since we started, the link has not changed. It is the same every month. The same Zoom link is the topics that differ. But Brother Tay, we'll work together to see how we can create that platform. Great idea, great suggestion. And I'm sorry for people bothering, getting upset with you. Thank you. Thank you, sister, for posting your information. In fact, like 1,000 times. I will reach out to you so we can get that shea butter to Pastor Paul.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, are there any more questions? If there are no more questions, I'm going to ask Dr. Gillum to please give us parting words, encouragement, and what we need to do to continue to better our health as far as water is concerned.
drink water. Don't wait till you get thirsty to start drinking. Drink water throughout the day. Also, I put the article in the chat box, and on the article there's a link for the kombucha camp, and there's also the link for the Soleil water that I talked about earlier. So if you're getting dehydrated throughout the day, in the morning when you get up, have your tall glass of water with a half a lemon and a teaspoon of Soleil water. And that will help you stay hydrated throughout the day. But it's in the chat. Links are in the chat.
Sister Rachel, you have your hand raised.
Yes, hi, Dr. O. I have one quick question. So I'd like to ask Ms. Gilliam, Dr. Gilliam, what are your thoughts on Kangen water?
Yeah, we talked about that last week. I know it's a machine that makes alkaline water, and it separates the alkaline water from the acid water, and you can use the acid water for cleaning. But you don't really need a machine to alkalize your water. You can just have a purifier, a simple purifier, because if the water is from a good source, it doesn't have to be alkaline. It's better if it's more in the neutral area as opposed to more alkaline. So I know it was very popular several years back that a lot of people were buying the Kangen machines, and they go to the water store and buy the Kangen water and pay money for it. But I don't think it's really a necessary purchase.
That's the effect of marketing.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was in Japan and I knew about the Kangen water. That was the first time I heard about it. But you can't, I started, here they have the machine. So I first knew about Kangen water when I was in Japan years ago.
Yeah, so they have good marketing. So now people in the US are thinking they need to pay $4,000 for a machine. So, but you don't really need to do that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I think, it's great, it's cheap for us to, just use those filters. We should get refrigerators with filter. And they warn you. I prefer those because the refrigerator filters or some device would warn you that it's time to change the filter. And so we will know when to change it. I think it's a cheap way and a healthy way to get good water.
And it's portable.
And it's affordable.
And portable, because I take
Portable.
mine with me when I go when I leave the country. I take it with. Well, even if I go across the country, I still take my filter with me, my portable filter.
Thank you. Thank you. So, if there are no more questions, I would like to just thank Dr. Gillum, Dr. Izugu, Dr. Ajagbe, Sister Rochelle was very, very, active in tonight's conversation and, give us a lot of insights too. So thank you all. And I want to thank Brother Paul because he's going to do the best that he needs to do so he can keep alive for us. Right? So thank you. And thank you, everyone. It's been an interesting Medical Mondays. We thank God that on Medical Mondays, my uncle was fine. Can you imagine being resuscitated on Medical Mondays? And he's fine. So glory be to God. I so much, I'm so grateful for Medical Mondays all the time, but especially for tonight. So till we meet again next week, please everyone stay safe and let us, remember all that we have learned and do them. Let us not be